The question is, how come Generation Z voters that has no lived memory about the authoritarian regime, has no lived memory about who is Prabowo or who is Suharto, and maybe they born after Suharto fell, then supported Prabowo.
Any more questions? I think we need to ask two more, Mas Lutfi and then Mas Yudi.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Sylvian Safitri. I am a PhD student in political science. So thank you again. I'm so grateful to be here to see my supervisor in action, Prof. Aris. So my question is a brief one. From the book, I cannot wait to be signed by the author. From the book, especially about the opposition, I want to address this question to Prof. Aris and Prof. Jayadi. In terms of opposition, when we are looking at the Indonesian nowadays, I want to ask what is your perspective on one specific phenomenon. Last time I read from social media that the movie of Dirty Vote second will be released. So the Dirty Vote second release to respond that the Dirty Vote one or the first is too late, right? Because it's only like a moment before the election. But now the Dirty Vote second release long way before the next year's elections. So that is the one aspect. And the second aspect about now is so many political prisoners to be detained in prison. So about the two aspects, I will relate it to the opposition. Is it the future dream of opposition when we are looking of the Dirty Vote movie and the political prisoners? Because the Dirty movie Dirty Vote second is already being responded by the government. They said the Dirty Vote second is biased without even, like they have watching the Dirty Vote second together and then have debate or healthy debate, but they already like conclude that it is biased. Thank you very much.
Let's take the question first. Thank you, Mas Yudi. And then we have Mas Yudi. Finally.
Hello, I'm Wadili Akmalia, coming from the Green. I'm very curious to. I'm so sorry before that. I'm not yet to read this book. Congratulations, Prof. Aris, for your editing volume and some authors' contribution, Mas Jai. But exactly, it is reminding me about one book that published maybe 2000s, edited by Chuabekwa, Elections as Popular Cultures. This book is exactly telling about in Asia how pop culture's element embedded into election and how they make a mobilization in Asia, including Indonesia and Malaysia and also Philippines. At the time when the book published it, there is no social media. The social media only television, old media like magazine, and also newspaper. But when we try to compare currently, social media is part of us, is part of everyday life. However, as social media become significant point and weapon for every candidacy in Indonesian election. So you can hear about how at the time Anies Baswedan used it, Prabowo used it, and also Gibran used it. It's meaning that pop culture's product in social media is become significant currently. Even we have kind of short videos. Without it, it's really hard for you to again for the young voters or Z generation. My question after reading it, is there any element of pop culture's product within these contributions of writing? If it's not, it is possible for instance, to make reference on workshop dealing and trying to revise about the book's election as pop culture. I think this is very significant element for us to understand very well what kind of this Z generation related with their mind, their perspective, and how they deal with it with a baby boomer generation currently. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Marcelo. I think we'll take the last question from the gentleman up front. Are you asking a question? All right. Would you be so kind and introduce yourself? Mas.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Eksan. I'm from Public Education in University State, but I'm also from Philippines. So I just have a question. First, there's a rise of parties in Philippines that are pushing for anti-political dynasty, and there are several parties, political parties in Philippines that are pushing for anti-political dynasty bill
Anti-political dynasty. Right.
because they think that it's really a problem when it comes to politics in the Philippines. Particularly when the president right now, his son is the governor, his cousin is the speaker of the house before, and etc. Like in one political clan, they have at least 10 people who are part of national leadership and several more people part of regional leadership. Another thing is, one question about the political dynasty is how can young scholars contribute to the discourse of whether or not anti-political dynasty bill is good, or whether or not how to pass it so that policymakers can have the academic background or evidences that can support the passing of this bill. And another thing is, right now, the situation in FARC is taking some kind of weird turn. Because the Mujahideen or the Islamist militants, they did have their farm, right? They were able to establish their farm government. But the problem is, with the first farm election in the Philippines, the Mujahideen or the one who pushed to have this kind of government, they are not winning the survey. In the survey that is being held, they are losing against the same government that they fought for. So do you think that if they did lose against these parties that they were against in the first place, are they going to just abandon the farm and just, you know what, we will have another kind of political or armed resistance? Because in the first place, their problem is they are not good at politics. All they know is how to, like militants, something like that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. I think we'll let our scholars to probably comment. Marcelo, do you want to comment on the politics? The questions, actually.
Okay, thank you. All of the comments and questions. I would like to answer some of it. The first is about the dirty vote, and maybe it relates also as a part of the popular culture with questions by Sudi. So I think the thing about democracy or about the regime that has no formal oppositional forces, I think because of that kind of setting, every small opposition movement should be appreciated, including the dirty vote. So my stance is supporting it as probably as the alternative of the votes against the so dominant government right now. But then also as long as I watch the dirty vote, it's not a part of the campaign, but probably about the intersection between the investigative journalism and also the critical journalism, right? So because my background actually in communication science, I could see a bit about the technical thing behind the work of the report. But then my point is that whether or not it contains some of the criticism, probably very harsh criticism, but then also as the alternative voice, I think we should appreciate it, right? the previous movie directed by the Laksono also quite annoying the government because in the last 20 minutes of the movie, it lists every dynastic person that nominated in the 2024 election. 20 minutes long, very long is of the movie. You can watch it in YouTube. So I think that's also the part of the contribution that's quite wonderful for our democracy, right? And then also addressing the question from Sudi, I think I do agree that the popular culture has a big thing in our election. And then I actually also proposed the question to myself, and I could not answer it. The question is, how come Generation Z voters that has no lived memory about the authoritarian regime, has no lived memory about who is Prabowo or who is Suharto, and maybe they born after Suharto fell, then supported Prabowo. So I think that's the big question, right? And it should be solved by combining a lot of discipline, historical lens, and then also popular culture, and also political science, maybe also social and anthropology discipline. Because that's simple questions presenting a lot of problem to many scholars. So thank you.
Should be very quick, right? I will not directly answer each of the question. I will just put my comment as a feedback. Number one, on political dynasty. I think Yos Kenawas, one of our friends, has put a very good data set on political dynasty in Indonesia, and it is open. You are interested, it is open data set, can be accessed by anybody about the political dynasty in Indonesia. Whatever political dynasty means to you, yeah. In Indonesia, related to this, since 1999, let's say since the election 2004 all the way to 2024, number one, the numbers of the so-called political dynasties has been increasing, not only at the local level, but also at the national level, right? Usually, we expect the president will not form any political dynasty, but the president in a way has some connection to the building of his political dynasty. Number two, in the public opinion survey, when we ask people about, let's say, in short, the main question is, do you mind with this political dynasty? The general majority no, you don't mind with political dynasty. So, I don't know, it is a bleak situation, or there is the thing that I think political scientists, political sociologists, historians, and social media expert needs to put this as part of their research. My second comment is that not only in Indonesia but also elsewhere, we are seeing the so-called phenomena. It is called presidentialization. There are three aspects of it. There are three types of presidentialization, but the most common one everywhere is personalization of politics, which is, I think, related to Mas Yudi question as well, right? Personalization of politics, in which both political elites and public in general cannot really differentiate between politics as personal issue, as personal matter, with politics as public, right? That is, I think, that also I think will be a very good theme of research that we have to grapple with. We don't know the answer. Related to the election as popular culture, I remember when I was in the US, I read a book from Frederick Schaeffer. Do you remember? Democracy in Translation. Right? The meaning of democracy to is Nigerians, I guess. This is in Nigeria, right? Right. Democracy for them is like a festival. More specifically, democracy is a job market. Not democracy. Election. Election and democracy is a job market. Meaning, politicians are, either they are trying to, keep their jobs as a parliamentarian or as a politician, as a public officials, or they are trying to run for office to get the office. So they are running for office in the job markets, right? In the job markets, the electorate will ask you, what is in it for me, right? You come to me every 5 years, every 3 years. What's in it for me, right? So it's like a festival. Paris mentioned of distributing patronage everywhere. And interestingly, since the new order, the authoritarian new order era, we have been calling election as democracy feast, democracy festival, right? So whether or not the social media phenomenon is strengthening or maintaining or weakening that kind of phenomenon, I think this important. Lastly, this is a bit normative. Anybody remember Alfred Stepan, with the concept of twin toleration, right? If I modify the concept a little bit, if you have elected a public official, then let her to do his or her job as a public official. That is your toleration, right? You don't agree with him, okay? You don't like him, okay, but let him do. Okay, that is one side of tolerance. But at the same time, the public official, the president, the governor, the parliamentarians, you have to have a commitment that you will guarantee the freedom of everybody, including your opponent, to speak the truth on their behalf. So, if you are a president, you are not threatening your opposition. If you don't come with me, I will twist you. I will put you in jail. Right? This building, who is watching us, for instance, right? Although it is probably difficult to put against the evidence, yeah, difficult to prove. If I don't like you, I will ask you to join me. Let's say I will ask you to join me in order for me to assemble a very big coalition, right? If you said, I don't want to join with you, okay, if you don't want to join with me, I will put you into jail. And you will be forced to do so because you know you have the problem, right? Every politician has their own problem. I have your card, you have my card. This kind of behavior, if it is not put into the frame of twin toleration, then you will end up with authoritarian, right? Thank you.
Master, there was a great adaptation of the twin toleration. Mas Pataris.
Maybe just some closing remarks to address some points earlier. I think again we are back to what the near future will do to us. And again, just now Siri talked about differences, polarization. Let's remember one thing. In this part of the world, Southeast Asia, this book is about Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia has experienced a steady process of depoliticization from the 60s. In the case of Indonesia, from 65 onwards. So even when we have so-called opposition between political parties, it's not ideological. There's no ideological differences. And even when you have coalitions bringing parties together, these are not parties that are ideologically distinct. It's not a feat like I bring a left-wing party with a right-wing party into a coalition. That's a feat because you reconcile ideological differences. But we don't have ideological differences. If you look at the coalitions that we see in similar, they're all right or right of center. So that's already that ease. Now the question we need to ask is, why has there been this depoliticization? Yeah. And this brings us the root question, underlying everything that we see in this book. What is the level, the actual level of political intelligence and political literacy among ordinary Southeast Asians? Simple question. How many Indonesians have read the Indonesian constitution? How many Malaysians have read the Malaysian constitution? I can tell you the answer, almost zero. Yeah. So most of us don't know the foundational document of our nation states. And that's, yes, and the thing that makes you an Indonesian, the thing that makes you a Singaporean or a Filipino or a Malaysian, the foundational document, most people don't know it. But they can tell you who the Kardashians are. They can tell you, the latest gossip about Johnny Depp or whatever, because they get that all the time. So this, for me, has been the root problem, right, of our society. And this is particularly acute. I'm not blaming Generation Z, but Generation Z and Alpha are the ones most affected by this, because we have the highest consumption of social media in Southeast Asia. Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand are the highest, 8.3 hours a day. And other countries, Malaysia, Singapore, not far behind that. So we have the highest consumption. So our reality is now visual and optics. Now this is why I think, and I agree with you, this is important for us to look at what's going to happen. We're going to have a next round of elections across Southeast Asia within 2 to 3 years. These will be purely optical elections. They will be election spectacles, like you said, pesta demokrasi. Yeah. And if the field has moved there, the debates have moved there. Now the debates are no longer ideological debates, they're no longer political debates, it's who's the most handsome, who has the best charisma, who has the cutest cat. These guys will keep the elections, right? So this for us as political analysts, this is deeply worrying. This is deeply worrying because you know what happens when you have large-scale, diseducation and disinformation. We have the example, we have America, that's what happens, right? You vote Trump, this is what happens. And the very same people who vote Trump now say, oh, I should not have done it. Well, why did you vote for him in the first place? Because you bought all that stuff that was, fed to you on your feed every day. And I think one of the biggest tragedies that we have in Southeast Asia, all politicians, all states, all governments talk about the need to understand and control social media. But the very same governments are the ones working with big tech. All these politicians who complain about fake news are themselves producing fake news. So that's the contradiction we're in. And where does that put us? Like I said earlier, that puts us in the third world. That puts us in this is third world politics. This is the politics of developing countries where our societies are not active producers of technology, but passive users of technology. So all these tools come, and you drop these tools in societies that are steeped in feudal politics. Of course, the next step is neo-feudalism. So the point you asked about dynasties, we already have dynasties. In our entertainment industry, we have dynasties. In our business communities, we have dynasties. The idea of dynasties in Southeast Asia, unfortunately, is not seen as problematic. And when politics is seen just like business, when politics is seen just like entertainment, then so what? And so I share Jayab's concern. My worry is when we do surveys, the public in Southeast Asia do not find this problematic. It's not an issue for them. And that, I think, is where we differ from, say, Western Europe, where you cannot imagine, say, a party in Germany where the president is from one family, the vice president is his wife, the deputy president is his son. That would not happen in these countries because they have longer histories of formal, institutional, professional politics. We run politics. I mean, from the beginning, when political parties emerged in Southeast Asia, they began with charismatic leadership. Look at all our early presidents and all that. They were more charismatic rulers. And so we've never shaken this lure, the appeal of charismatic rulers.
Thank you, Mas. That's quite illuminating comment. I hope all comments from the three speakers answer all of your questions. May I invite long applause for the three speakers there? With that, I will close the book launch. But first of all, let me express some gratitude first to the director of UIII, Mas Naan, for expediting the book publication. Our dean from FOS, Dr. Permontic, for bringing it funding and organizing the conference and the book. And we're looking forward for the next Southeast Asia Updates book from Dr. Aa. With that, let's close the book launch with a big applause. Thank you.
So please, next part, I'll take your position and have a photo session together. Yes.